Hello and welcome to another episode of Northside Now. This is the podcast where your lovable hosts take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. My name is Patrick, and with me as always are my wonderful co-hosts, Glenn Miller and Kevin Bryant. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you fine people.
Why did we all of a sudden go to NPR's voices?
I didn't.
We're going to try something a little different today.
Patrick was over here. I was like, what? Why are we doing this?
Hot mic.
I just, try to change it up every now and then a little bit,
It's being spicy.
Trying to keep myself entertained.
New stuff.
Spicy. Well, are y'all pumped for the Groundhog?
Always.
He's gonna be popping out of his hole here soon.
Old Puxatawny.
I've never gotten into that at all. I'm not sure why.
Why did that become a thing?
I don't know. But
who saw a groundhog one day and went, that's what we need to do?
Even now, if you ask me which one means what, I'm probably going to say, yeah, I don't know.
If they see their shadow.
See, you have to think about it. I can't. It won't stick in my brain for some reason.
Wait, I don't even remember now. If they see their shadow, does that mean 6 more weeks of winter, or?
I don't know why I don't get this, but I've struggled with that my whole entire life.
Is it because the sun's out and so it creates the shadow, so that means there's not 6 more weeks?
I don't know. Google should be able to tell us, I'm sure.
Yeah, what concerns me more than the person that said, yeah, groundhog, let's do that, was the second person that said, yeah, I agree, let's do that.
That's right, because without the second person, it just doesn't go anywhere, right?
So it says, if the animal sees its shadow, i.e. if the weather is sunny, it is said to...
Winter, right?
To bring on 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, it's just like...
How does that make sense? If it's sunny, we're going to have more winter.
It's reverse psychology, I think is what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, if it's sunny, surely we can't have a great day.
That's right.
I'm going to go back in my hole. It's going to be... Because he's supposed to be coming out of hibernation, right?
Yeah.
And why would an animal in February come out of hibernation in Pennsylvania?
I don't know. I think Punxsutawney Phil is just a negative Nelly.
When did all of this start?
Long time ago.
1800s, isn't it?
Yeah, because they wear like the official dress, don't
Top
they?
hats and everything.
Yeah, that's kind of... Oh, Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah.
Leave it up to us Americans to come up with...
That's how long ago it was. They used the name Punxsutawney.
Yeah, Puxatawny.
What in the world?
Isn't that a place, though?
Yeah, I think that's
town.
Puxatawny, Pennsylvania.
It's a town.
Yeah.
And like some of the mascots, like Smokey, they're on Smokey 10, I think now, for UT.
Yeah.
I wonder if is this Puxsutawney 27 or 204?
What's the average lifespan of a groundhog?
I thought you were talking about Smokey Bear.
No, yeah, like Smokey the dog.
He still wears no shirt. You notice this?
Yeah. Smokey the bear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's what? Why did they use a bear? He's coming out of hibernation.
He's the reverse Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah, he is the. That is a mind-blowing event.
I think he's gotten more muscles over the years.
Yeah.
He does look a little more
He's
ripped.
buffed. Yeah.
Don't feed the bears, people. Don't feed the bears. If you do, make sure they give them a lot of protein so they can get their creatine levels up.
I was just going to say, good creatine dose.
So how are y'all? How is everyone?
Good.
I'm good. And you know what? It's not that I just had something better to do last week. I took a little offense to that. I actually had a dentist appointment.
Oh, you didn't have something better to do after all, did you?
Yeah, no. Because of all this dental work I'm doing, we travel to Nashville quite a bit. And we've got 5 of us in braces right now. It's crazy.
Yikes.
Anyway, it just so happened that was one that had been on my calendar, but I never told you guys. So it was on me, but still... I missed being here, but I'm glad I'm back. You had a really good conversation.
It was fun having Travis here.
Coach Travis.
And Barry sitting over in the corner.
I was like, next time we got to
word.
Couldn't get him on the mic.
It's like, Barry, get over here. You do this all the time. What in the world? It's like, no, I just wanted him to... So, well, we were actually worried about you. We thought you might have been off, raiding hen houses to buy eggs or something.
Yeah.
Sell eggs.
Have y'all fallen to the egg thievery that's going on?
I don't like eggs enough to spend $15 for a carton of eggs.
I love eggs, and our family eats them quite a bit. So we have shelled out the cash for the eggs. I wish we had chickens. Although, that's probably in the end, it's probably more expensive to have chickens with all the feed and all the
it probably is
stuff
now
that you have. But yeah, I wish we had a cheaper option. But
don't they normally put like little chickens and ducks at Tractor Supply?
Yep. Chick days.
And in the early spring, those are going to get gobbled up in a hurry this year.
Oh yeah,
be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone told me today that Walmart 1.5 dozen eggs was $15.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Really, that much?
This morning.
You could recoup your money pretty quickly, I think, if you just had chickens. Like, it'd be more expensive in the front end, but once you get everything set up, I mean, give a man an egg or teach a man to egg.
I don't know if that's how that goes, but it was
give a man an egg and
teach him how to egg
and teach him how to egg and
teach a man to egg. That's pretty funny.
That's what you do at like houses and stuff, right? Talking about egg and houses.
Yeah, well, I've seen several memes about that. When I was a kid, we were so rich we could throw eggs and toilet paper at people's houses.
Yeah, you can't afford that now.
Well, isn't that funny?
I think part of this is because of the bird flu. And was it up around Union City or somewhere where they've quarantined like a 5-mile radius?
I didn't hear about
because
this.
There's some bird flu up there. Oh. And that's part of the thing. I think overall there's like a pretty big case of bird flu.
Huh.
And the girl who got really famous with her emu, was it Manuel or something like that, and she was making these jokes and went on the whole late night circuit. I mean, she was on Kimmel and all that. Well, that emu got bird flu too, and she lost some of her other birds in her farm, but they were able to keep Manuel alive. I think that's his name, Manuel. But I've noticed that recently. So the bird flu is pretty bad, and evidently that is what I have heard, at least, why eggs have gone up is because of the bird flu issues.
I haven't heard that.
But it might be some
interesting.
I don't know. Or at least that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Bird COVID.
I think that's pretty much what it is. Something like that. Bird COVID. Also, are y'all going through the small group study book that we're doing, talking about community?
I'm not.
Y'all are not in a small group this time?
I am not.
It's an interesting thing because, it kind of, it's been a little uncomfortable, I think, for some of the groups to go through and talk about what community is and how really it's the thing we hear from Scripture, of dying to oneself and, looking at others before you do yourself and stuff like that. So it's been, I think, a good conversation, but, we were talking about small groups were going to be happening and they, they're about 3 weeks into them, 4 weeks. But yeah, it's an interesting book with talking about community within the church and reaching out from the church and even just within your own family and stuff. So, and redefining, I guess, what community is. For a lot of people think of it as one thing and it's really not. So
those are good conversations to have.
They are. It's kind of like what we were talking with Coach Travis about what's going on with schools. And then we were talking about, before we started recording, and we were talking about with the AI, what does school look like in the future?
Yeah.
And I guess I grew up, that's where my idea of community came from, was from school and being on a team and stuff like that.
Now so much school's online too.
Well, yeah, there's colleges now that are starting to, they've done online classes. Yeah. Barbie's taking it online. She's getting her master's online.
Yeah. Elizabeth's getting her master's online now too. Yeah.
But yeah, it even looks like your undergrad stuff you can do online and all kinds of different ways to educate and learn, keep learning, all kinds of different ways. And, we're talking about with the AI and stuff, just how will education and learning change? And I was listening to another podcast talking about exercise and mental health and anxiety and stuff and how much exercise helps. And I'm still puzzled why we don't have more recess time for little kids and the older middle school kids. It just kind of blows my mind why.
Well, there's been this emphasis on achievement and scores, and that's the way you measure how well kids are learning, right? It is what I've heard as the explanation.
Yeah.
But to your point, a lot of things that are sort of between the lines are hard to measure are going away, whether it be arts programs or physical education stuff that is proven to have a positive impact on mental state and relaxation and regeneration and things like that, which are important when you're trying to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
But so much of what we've experienced, now granted, we've got homeschool as part of our story, but we've also had people in other forms of school. and anxiety around school, whether you call it that or you just call it about stress or the pressure of school and performing, can be a real hindrance to actual learning things.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it's always been that way, but with the decrease in things like exercise and those kinds of things, changing of school hours, those kinds of things, I have to believe is a part of that increased anxiety level, and that can't be good for learning. So how does that enter back into the picture when we're all very concerned on performance in school and teachers are rated on, all those things, the metrics and all that. I'm not saying any of that's necessarily bad in and of itself, but where does the balance come in? Because it seems like it's way out of whack right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk to almost any teacher. I struggle to find in my own personal life experiences of where teachers are like feeling very fulfilled in their job, very rested and relaxed and able to do what they love doing is teaching, helping kids learn. And they're struggling with things like, administrative issues or discipline and things that they have to deal with that they feel like keeps them from actually doing, living their passion.
Yeah. I saw a funny little video thing of a lady who's a teacher, and an administrator walks up and says, "Put your phone away." And she looks at him and says, "What are you going to do? Fire me?" It was kind of like, you need me more than I need you right now, and that's the thing. But I think when funding gets involved, and everybody gets worried about, I hear like schools talk a lot about funding from the government. And, so I think, the government says you need to be evaluated by this test or by these scores, and they just jump through hoops because I think we get so worried about funding, about stuff. I see that happen in the church too. Well, let's do this ministry or let's do that ministry, or like, well, what about funding? It becomes a thing, and it's tough whenever numbers and things have to come around because you're worried about the dollar side of it and not the human side of it.
Well, if you're going to believe the conspiracy theorists, then
we do.
Yeah, they're taking all this stuff away because they don't want to create healthy, independent thinkers. They don't want people like that. They want, scared, dependent people that they can control. Big state, big government. They just want to control the population, and the population's easier to control when
they're mindless.
Exactly. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but
well, I was listening to something the other day, and I was talking about, when the Civil War started, it was only like 84 years old. The United States was, and we're still young. We're still really young.
Oh yeah.
We forget that, our church here is 60 something years old. We just released our shirts that had some stuff on there from the back from just our history and the foundations of who we are. And, it's not very old.
It's really not.
It's not very old.
Especially when you can go over to the UK and there's, this house was built in 1100 and it's still there. It's like they have places that are like 1,000 years old. If we have something that's 100 years old, we think it's old.
So I feel like there's a lot of transitioning. Maybe we're just at that transition age or transition time frame or something. I just feel like there's a lot of that going on around us right now. And how do we as a church respond to the transition around us? Or am I just hearing too much and thinking there's a lot of transition?
I don't know. And I wonder about that too, if it's just you and me, Glenn, and our particular age.
Maybe it's our ages, yeah.
That we are focused on that. Patrick is still basically in diapers.
Basically.
Although you've got some transition this last 12 months too. But
I definitely think, and I don't think it's just an age thing, where we are in the world right now in society, everything is sort of in transition. I mean, ever since the pandemic, really, everything's kind of been on the table to change. Yeah. And that's not just here at Northside. That's it's everywhere. Yeah. People are questioning a lot more. And I don't know if it stems from a lack of trust or something like that, because I've seen there's been a trend of people don't trust institutions and people in authority. Ever since the pandemic, that trust has just plummeted. So it's caused a lot of people to start questioning things that they probably wouldn't have otherwise questioned.
I think where you fall on the political spectrum, recent presidents kind of factor into that, things on the national stage. The pandemic was for sure part of it. But I do want to get back to what you were talking about, Glenn, in particular at Northside Church. So I don't know who all listens to podcasts. We've got people all over the world that listen, but we're here in Jackson, Tennessee, West Tennessee. Pretty much a southern town.
Oh, yeah.
I think is what
the buckle of the Bible Belt.
And And we've had some leadership changes recently, and we're working through, as we've mentioned, several staff positions that are pretty, what I would say, key positions in the life of any church. When you talk about children, you talk about youth, you talk about worship, and of course, pastoring. You asked the question, where do we go from here? Or I'd sort of phrase it this way.
Yeah.
What do you think about as we're going through that transition? Because I think change, we've talked about this a lot last year, change and why it doesn't feel so great. And one of our guests said that it's not really change that's the issue. It's, the loss, the fear of loss.
Yeah.
Fear of things that you hold dear going away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think that sort of what I've been thinking in the last, 6 months, but definitely more recently here is, where's our focus? And where should it be? And I think that we should be focused on our faith, the center of our faith. This is the Jesus focus. And that if we are focused on that, then I think that, two things I think will happen. Just speaking from my own personal experience, I tend to worry less about things that may not go as I want it to go.
Yeah.
Because I see, and I'm surrendering to not my will, but your will.
Yeah.
The prayer that Jesus prayed in the garden.
Yeah.
And if Jesus is our example, then trying to follow that, it should be our goal. Now, it's not easy because we're completely human, right? But that's one thing. The other thing is I become a little more open to possibilities for newness. If I'm focused on Jesus too, because if he's in control, then it's not necessarily what I want to happen. I want God's will to be done.
Yeah.
And so I become a little less bent out of shape when I'm presented with something that's a different opportunity I didn't consider.
Yeah.
And I think that if we all could be sort of on the same page, at least in that regard, we'd be open to subtle things like the movement of the Holy Spirit to tell us to step out of your comfort zone and just volunteer for FCA, for example, with the last episode we had. Those kinds of things. And it's easy to say, maybe for me, and harder to do, I found for myself at least, but those two things help me weather change because, like Patrick said last week, there's one thing that doesn't change. God doesn't change. Jesus can still be the Jesus of 2,000 years ago and the Jesus of 2,000 years from now. So a lot of people feel like that's a cop-out because you're not really answering the question, they might say.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's not necessarily as critical for us to answer the question with the full detail as to talk about who we're following.
I think using Jesus as your model is always the right way to go.
Yeah.
And we don't always get there, but...
Well, and, he brings us peace. He brings us so many things that are in that relational thing. Because, we've talked a little bit about the AI stuff a little bit. And for me, there's a part of me that's like, that is so cool. And there's another part of me that's like, that is so scary.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of hope that happens after I'm gone, but yet you still know you'll have loved ones that will be a piece of that. There's so many different stages of life over time. And I think the only thing for me is just the speed maybe in which things happen nowadays. It feels like it's so much quicker. And so as we think about what are we doing today to help our church prepare for tomorrow, because we all are in here in staff and leadership pieces of that, it probably does take up a lot of our time, probably more than a lot of people. But it still goes to exactly what y'all said. You got to trust God and just follow him. That's the thing.
Our faith should be in Jesus, not in a building or in a person or whatever. We just got to remember the why we're doing what we're doing. Keep asking yourself, what's the point? We need to bring back the what would Jesus do bracelets. That's what we need to bring back.
Well, it's funny, I see a few teenagers wear those occasionally, which is cool. So
I remember, and I can't remember where I picked this up originally. You guys might know, but a saying of what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Oh, yeah.
And if you just stop and think for a second, if you knew you couldn't fail, the surface level is that you'd never make a mistake, right? That's what that kind of means to me. But dig deeper and you see that those things you thought were mistakes were actually not a negative thing.
Yep.
That it wasn't actually failure. It was, call it what you will, an opportunity of growth, something to push you to a certain level, a different level of success or greatness. And we've talked about leaders who think that way.
Yeah.
Whatever you think or agree or disagree with Elon Musk, in his SpaceX journey, it's like, if a rocket blows up, that's great. because we know what not to do the next time.
Yeah.
We talked about Edison, 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Mm-hmm. If you had that perspective, what would ministry look like?
Yeah.
Because in the end, you can't fail if you're following God's will. Mm-hmm. And so there'd be an element, I think, of dreaming going on. Like, how big could we make this ministry? How big does God want to make it? What can we do instead of what can we not do?
1,000 ways to not do ministry. That's going to be the title of my autobiography.
I think, for education in the schools, what's the purpose of educating our children, our adults, our people? What's the purpose of education? What's the purpose of the church? Mm-hmm. And I think if we just remember, we need to be about our purpose. That comes to me from Jesus' life on earth is he was very much about his mission and purpose on the planet. Mm-hmm. And was it great all the time? No, we just did a lesson in youth about Jesus' 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness.
Right.
So, fasting and, surely that wasn't a fun time. It's like, man, thank you, God, for sending me down there, Dad, to Disney World. I appreciate that. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was tough. And to see people who you'd become close to on a very human side and probably loved even from that agape side to turn their back on you, but yet to have someone with so much faith, if they could just touch the hem of your garment and they would be healed, you wouldn't have to see them know their name or nothing, just that they had that kind of faith. I think if we just remember what our purpose is, and the funny thing is we spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars buying books and YouTube channels and all kinds of things and stuff trying to find our purpose, but I think we make it so much more complicated than it has to be. So do the relationships to purpose of what the church is about and don't try to get too fancy. I actually remember saying this in basketball to some of the players sometimes, just play ball. Uh-huh. You're trying to be too fancy, just play ball. So maybe that is a simple concept we need to remember.
And I think we make it more complicated when we try and scale it. When we try and institutionalize, have a common educational system. If you think about it, we're an own little microcosm in ourselves because we have 7 kids. But you can see very clearly they do not all learn the same way.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They are not all gifted with the same personality. And so that's one of the reasons we chose to homeschool, because we could focus on their individuality in a different way. Quite honestly, my family is a family of teachers. And so I'm familiar with that. I went to public school and private school, so I'm familiar with that too. But it's very difficult to teach kids the way they need to learn in a group setting.
Oh,
it's just hard. You think about in church, relationships one-on-one is where it's at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you have 50,000 people in your congregation, that's really challenging.
Yeah.
So it gets more complicated when we try and scale it and bring the one-on-one example to a larger thing. But the one thing we can do is still remember that relationships are really where it's at. That's what Jesus was focused on the whole way through his ministry.
Well, I think we should definitely heed all of that great stuff we just shared, but I'm still not going to trust my weather to a groundhog.
Now we just got to bring out the frog bracelets again. The fully rely on God.
That's right.
That's what we got to remember.
That's right.
Well, it's good stuff, and we're at that time of the year, and it won't be long before the sun will be out a little longer, the days will be a little warmer, and
it's already started,
and we'll be we're already past that solstice.
Yeah,
but we got a lot of stuff coming up, Patrick, I believe, and so. What do you have on your to-do list for us?
That's a good question. What do we have coming up?
We have Battle at the Berg.
That's right. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Battle of the Berg. Here at the gym on February 5th, Purple Penguin 1 versus Purple Penguin 2 Church League basketball. We will have a halftime show. It's just going to be a great day. It's going to be at 5:00 in the afternoon. We really encourage everybody to come out and just have fun with the kids, the youth, and your family. Just come. It is entertaining basketball. It's like the Savannah Bananas play basketball.
Did I hear you say something last episode about concessions?
We're going to have some concessions, stand food. Woohoo! Yeah.
Corn dogs and
I don't know
nachos that are just like the round chips with the cheese.
I don't know if I'll have any, but I guarantee they won't be Joe's.
Like a pickle in a bag.
That joke failed. I thought it worked better in my head. So yeah, I don't know what all we're going to do yet, or at least I have people who are in charge of the food. We're going to unveil our new mascot.
Hey,
excited about that.
Penguin mascot unveiling.
Does
penguin preview?
Does the penguin mascot have a name?
Ooh,
we'll have to work on that.
Like
Icy or
Pepper.
Yeah,
that's not completely original though.
Well, it's
fish breath.
Purple penguins. You got to have something that starts with a P.
Oh, do you?
I don't know.
Mr. Popper's Purple Penguins.
I'm a fan of alliteration. So.
Okay. Well, we'll work on that. But yeah, the 5th at 5:00 here in the gym. It'll be a lot of fun. Plus, on Thursday nights here in the gym, our senior high guys play all here at Northside. And you could pretty much go to Westwood any other night of the week. And some of our high school or junior high guys and girls will be down there playing at there. So Church League basketball only has another few weeks. So catch them while you can. They'll be gone pretty soon.
Well, one of the big things we also have coming up, you probably heard a little bit about this on Sunday. During the month of February, we're going to be doing a 28 days of prayer. So we've got a lot of decisions to make in the next short time period between children's director, hiring youth director, hiring a lead pastor. What do we do with our Sunday morning schedules? We've just got a lot of big questions that need to be answered. And so during the month of February, we're going to take some time to just sort of pray and ask God to show us what his will is. So, we're trying to say your will, not ours. And so seeking the Holy Spirit guidance in this. And so there will be booklets available. Like a devotion book. You can get them here at the church. There's going to be a daily devotion, and each devotion's been written by some of our leadership, some of the people on our boards. Those devotions will also be emailed out to everyone. If you don't have a booklet, just check your email. So it's sort of like a guided devotion every day. Read the devotion, pray, and so we're all kind of praying for the same thing.
Yeah,
that will be happening the entire month of February. So,
also during February, I think we're going to be collecting items for Scarlet Rope.
Yes.
From the outreach team.
Mm-hmm. What is Scarlet Rope?
Scarlet Rope is a organization here in town that helps women get out of human trafficking. Maybe they've been in that life for whatever reason, and it helps them get out of that life. And, January was Human Trafficking Month. We've not always had a ministry like this in Jackson, and we've had now for 5 or 6 years, maybe something like that. Yeah. And I think it's awesome.
Well, I think a topic we could talk about in the future a little more, because maybe for some of us, it seems like a foreign concept. We heard about this overseas.
Sure.
Maybe we've seen documentaries about it or whatever, but it's here.
It's a real deal.
In our area. And we've had a few of our guests talk about a little bit. I think when we talked about law enforcement, there was a little bit we talked about that. We've got family members that live in Middle Tennessee and Nashville area, and Nashville's a huge area for that. People are getting targeted for pickup, kidnappings, and various different things. It's a very real thing. Yeah. And it is a great ministry that we do have here. So I'd love to hear more of that. Maybe we can get somebody to talk about that.
Somebody from Scarlet Rope on the podcast soon. I know we're working on getting lots of different folks from outside the community. It's a great ministry that we need to. Yeah. So we'll be doing that.
Yeah. That's our first quarter.
A list of items coming out soon.
Yeah. On February 10th, we've also got a parents' night out coming up. So you can bring your kiddos up here to the church from 5:30 to 8:30 on February 10th. It's $5 per kid, $10 max per family. They're going to serve pizza. So kind of give you a Friday night to, whether you want to go out with your significant other, get a little early Valentine's Day in, or if you want to go shopping or take a nap, go see a movie, whatever you want to do.
So it's parents' night out on that end. I was going to bring my parents up here and drop them off. Take a break.
But the day after, there's also an event for the kids. On February 11th, there's an event called Jumpin' for Jesus. What? It's for kids up through 5th grade. It's from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the Fun Zone.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. You can sign up for that on the app so we know how many people are going to be attending. But yeah, that'll be fun.
Jumpin' for Jesus.
Jumpin' for Jesus.
That sounds fun.
Also coming up on February 22nd is Ash Wednesday. So that'll kick off Lent for this year. That's all I've got on my calendar.
Sounds like
at least for the next month right now.
Busy February.
There's always stuff going on. So,
Well, Lent coming on. I always look forward to Lent.
yeah.
A lot of people do stuff after the first of the year and kind of, like Lent's kind of my thing of if I'm going to cut something out of my life, that's the time for me to really kind of do that and concentrate on that with the fervor that it needs and not just a big end of the year change or something.
Yeah, I got to think about what I'm going to give up for Lent this year.
And we got Super Bowl parties and
I
stuff.
was
that's
just going to
true.
say Super Bowl.
Who are we going to have? Any guesses yet?
49ers.
All the teams I really kind of wanted are done. So I would say I may stretch out there and say Bengals.
Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I may have to go Bengals.
2 years in a row. That would,
I-
we
I-
haven't seen that a lot recently.
Well, I say my teams I want. The Chiefs, I would love to see them because of Trey, but I'm afraid that just didn't going to happen. I don't feel the aura around them like it used to do.
Joe Burrow's got the momentum right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, I think there's
never
something to be said for that.
But we'll know on the 13th who won.
Well, here's the bigger question I think people are talking about that overshadows all that stuff is, will Tom Brady and Aaron
Retire.
Rodgers be playing next season?
Or will they be playing in Tennessee?
Yeah. Will they be playing? And if so, where?
Yeah.
Because there's been, for both of them, the Tennessee has been mentioned.
I've heard everything from Tom Brady going to Indy to Vegas, all over the place. Miami, because he's already got property there, blah, blah, blah. So it'll be just interesting to see. Are we done seeing Tom Brady play football? It's been how many years?
I know.
It's
Like 400, I think, 400 years.
I remember Moses making a few comments about it.
yeah, right.
And not to add to the sports stuff, because it seems like they're just wanting a whole lot of stuff to chatter about. But have y'all seen the stuff going around about, was that really Damar Hamlin?
Oh,
Where do you guys get this conspiracy
game.
stuff?
totally not. That was definitely not
At
Damar
the
Hamlin.
game a couple weeks ago or not?
Why do you think it would not be?
I 100% subscribe to the fact that it was not him.
Well, they're saying the way he was moving his arms and stuff, that if you'd had CPR on you for 9 minutes, that 2 weeks after that, there's no way you
First
could
off,
move like that.
You wouldn't be able to move like that. Second, he's in a box, and yet he's still wrapped up in
Never saw his
coats with a
face.
hood. He's always wearing sunglasses. Every shot they showed of him, his face was obscured. He had such a massive security detail. If he was part of the team, he would have been able to walk in and out, but he was surrounded by security guards the whole time.
And his family was there, but they were never with him.
They weren't with him. Exactly. I think they were doing
really weird.
If you've had CPR done on you for 9 minutes, 2 weeks later you're not going to be traveling to go to a game.
I've heard you're so sore, there's no way you
Yeah.
could
I just don't know
like
why would the team risk that?
I know.
Because that could be such a big PR blowback. If it ever got out that it wasn't.
It's like having classified documents at your house or something.
Exactly. Who would do that?
It was for quote unquote morale boosting.
I don't know.
So wild. What in the world? Why did soap operas have to make it to the NFL?
This is the part about sports I like.
Yeah, really.
Well, if it was a morale booster, it didn't really work. I'm just saying that.
Unfortunately, yeah, because I'm a big Josh Allen fan.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
goodness,
We'll have to have a Super Bowl episode and we just geek out about
we'll have
sports.
to find out about that.
Because Patrick is dying
Oh, I know.
to talk about
I've just
sports.
got so much to say. Well, guys, thanks for podcasting with me. And thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Northside Now Podcast. Go to our website, northsidejackson.com, or email us at podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
There's a Glenn.
I'm Kevin.
And that's what's happening at Northside Now.
Bye-bye.